Speaking of marketing, our next presenter here is going to be talking about selling your services using social media, blogging and tweeting and Facebooking and all that sort of stuff. And this is kind of the way the world is working anymore. It's pretty valuable stuff. A powerful way to spread your positive word of mouth about your thermography business and your success stories. Here to tell you all about that is Jack Allinson, it's A-L-L-I-N-S-O-N, from Allinson Infrared Inspection Services. Jack's a level 3 certified thermographer who uses thermal imaging for varied applications, monitoring the safety of marine vessels, as well as their associated land-based support systems, and for studying wildlife. A warm welcome, please, from Jacksonville, Florida, Mr. Jack Allinson.
Well, good morning. Certainly is a pleasure to be here and share some information with you. There are many types or facets to social marketing, and to really do all of them justice, it would take easily a week with several different workshops. However, the goal of this presentation is to talk about leveraging the photographs that we take as thermal imagers or doing thermography and the regular visual photos that we take to incorporate in social media to let people know what we're doing. Now, later on this afternoon, if you find that some of the things that you see right here are interesting to you, then I would go ahead and encourage you to come here at 5 o'clock for a marketing panel that's going to talk about additional information on how you can get your message out there to your potential customers. So, a potential client is going to learn about your company's services through channels of communication, such as referrals. People network, that's why we're here, to talk to other people, understand what we do, and possibly get some business out of this. In addition, there's going to be print. You're going to go ahead and pay to put out flyers, advertisements, maybe some billboards or things along those lines to get that message out to you. Then we have electronic media. Electronic media can be in the form of a TV commercial, which is usually about a minute or less, hopefully, when you're watching your favorite show. Or if you stay up late at night, you might look at an infomercial that may run for as much as 5 minutes. So once targeted, a key component for deciding whether somebody's going to use you or not is, do you have a business website? And that website has to be designed such that it doesn't give them all the information. You want them to be able to be curious enough to go ahead and contact you to get further information and meet with you. To be successful, that website needs to be obviously easily found. And a classic example of having a website that's easily found would be to appear on the first page of a search engine such as Google. In the past, the use of relevant keywords were critical to rank high on a search engine. Now, those critical keywords were something that your programmer hid in the web page, so that when somebody looked for infrared or thermographer or things along those lines, it would go ahead and crawl through the website and Google would find you. Now the factors have changed, and they've changed rapidly, probably within the last 1 to 2 years, so that the ranking factors now come back and say, look, you put out this website 6 months ago, 8 months ago, but you haven't changed any contact or content within that web page. So we're just going to pass you by. In other words, that web page and the pages behind it can't be static. They must change. Another thing that's happening is how many people link back from their website to your website. That also increases the ability for you to be promoted higher on that search list. And the last thing that's now become more popular is, do you have any video content on your website? Now, what I'm going to talk about in terms of social media, it promotes the ability for rapid change on your website, and it also increases external links. In other words, when you're using social media, people are going to look at what you have out there. They say, hey, that's really great. I'm going to rebroadcast that information to you. Or maybe I'm going to link to you to see what you're doing. It can be maintained either through a laptop, or actually, well, the way things are going right now, you can use mobile media, just like this iPhone that I'm using. This iPhone enables me to go ahead and take pictures of this conference, videos of this conference, and actually post it on the go to my website. So we talked about Wi-Fi enabled smartphones, tablets, iPads, and they're either running the operating systems nowadays, either the Apple iOS or Google's Android. When we talk about social media products, we're talking about audio and visual, blogs, which is more or less a website where somebody puts on their online diary of what's happening to them. Webinars. We also talk about email marketing and networking through links to others who have similar interests. One of the products that's out there is called LinkedIn. That's L-I-N-K-E-D-I-N, where people go ahead and see what you're doing, and then you can see the other individuals and who's linked to them. And you end up with a huge following with people that have similar interests as you. So the avenues of communication now have changed, and they're all sharing a common goal, which is to develop a following, that people will follow you now and will be led back either to your website or to you personally to make that telephone call. In the past, marketing has more been where you go ahead and you publish information, you go ahead and send out flyers, you send out postcards. People are constantly getting information in the mail. I don't know if you're getting a lot, but I certainly do. And most of the stuff ends up in the garbage bin because it really didn't interest me. So this concept here of using social media reverses things. It reverses it such that now people know about you and they're actually going to your website or going to your tweets or whatever you have out there to learn about what's Jack doing now? Where's he going to? So this paper is going to discuss two products that visualize the audio-visual aspects of social media networking using video and images. Not going to talk about tweets and retweets and LinkedIn. We're going to talk about the photographs and the thermal images that you take, and maybe some video if that's what you do, and how to go ahead and incorporate that, what you're already doing in the field, and getting leverage out of it and putting it into social media. I'm also going to make some reference to some products that allow you to review the effects of implementing change to your website. You know, it's fine to have a beautiful, fancy website out there, but if you don't get any information back saying that the redesign of your website, the new video that you posted, maybe the new tweet that you put out there is making people want to come to your website, you're spending money kind of blindly. So let's talk about a website. This is a traditional website that by no means has the look and feel of what a social media website looks like. But in this particular case, this is the website for Allinson.com. And I've got some things in it that I'm using as I'm gradually moving over to a more social media website. In the upper left-hand corner is a place where I have videos that are actually embedded on my web page. These videos right here, where the pointer is going, are videos that I produced using social media products. The video that's out here is something that was posted on YouTube that I thought was excellent, and I've embedded it into my website because the person who developed it made it available for sharing. And so you're able to use not only somebody else's work to help explain what you do or why people would need you, but at the same time, you're rebroadcasting people back to that particular website, increasing their visibility as well as yours. As the slide says here on the bottom, the two products that I'm going to talk about on the audio-visual side is called Animoto and YouTube. So let's take a look at some video demonstrations. Well, up here you'll see Marine Surveyor. Just by a show of hands, does anybody in the audience, have they ever even heard of a Marine Surveyor before? Yeah, a few. But most people don't know what a Marine Surveyor is, why they would need one, or even how to select one. And there are times I get telephone calls where somebody says, I have some marshland that they need to have surveyed. You come out and look at that. And a Marine Surveyor actually is someone who inspects vessels, yachts, sailboats, large commercial ships. It's a little bit of an anomaly, but that's what Marine Surveyors do. So now what I need to do is find out how I can get here we go. So that video that you just saw there was taken with regular photographs and videos that I use with my video camera when I'm out in the field. And what we're presenting here are two different things. When I'm doing audio gauging, the size, the diameter of that audio gauge probe is very small. I'm actually only taking readings that are about 1 square inch surface area. And to go through an entire boat and look for problems and get audio gauge measurements and know what the thickness of the metal is and the original thickness of the metal, and do a comparison to see how much wastage has occurred, to see whether there's a problem, it's very time consuming. You can short circuit that by doing thermal scans of a boat and see the areas that would have problems. They're usually cooler in this case because water is accumulated. On metal boats, especially steel ones, they rust from the inside out. And to be able to go there and say, look, this area looks suspicious, let's target that using audio gauging certainly speeds the process up. And in addition to that, I can present something to my client and says, didn't look right with a thermal image, let's go ahead and use the other non-destructive tools to see if we do have a problem there. So that's posted out on the website. It gives somebody an idea that this guy isn't out in the marsh with a transit looking and trying to figure out boundaries. He's actually doing something with boats. The next video that I'm going to show you talks about a system approach to condition and value. One of the things that a marine surveyor does that's a little bit different than somebody who's appraising, or excuse me, doing a home inspection, is that at the end of the day, our deliverables are not only just risk management, is that boat going to burn up, blow up, or sink, which is what either somebody who's underwriting it for insurance or somebody who's financing that loan wants to know. But in addition, we also have to come up with a valuation of the piece of property that's out there, excuse me, the boat. So what kind of electronics does it have on it? You know, how fast does it go? How many hours are on the engine? All those kinds of things are taken into consideration when we generate our written report. boat needs to have this done simply because insurance companies want to know the risk, finance companies want to know the risk, and in addition to that, it gives this video, it gives somebody a little bit of an idea of what's involved in the process. This isn't something where I park my car in the parking lot and pull out my binoculars and, yep, that boat's at the end of the dock, looks okay for me. This is something that usually takes almost a full day. And it doesn't really matter about the size of the boat anymore. It's because all of the electronics that are on board, whether it has a FLIR imaging system to see things at night, or whether it's got satellite radio on it, or GPS systems, or depth finding, or automatic pilots, there's just a lot of information that needs to be looked at, or systems that need to be looked at. And the person who's getting ready to buy this wants to know, do all these things work? And quite frankly, sometimes the people on board, other than somebody who's working with the boats all the time, don't even know how to turn on the instruments. We'll take a look at one last video here. And again, these were all produced using this Animoto product that I'm going to talk about in a second. And this is talking about sea trawl. You saw a little bit of a sea trawl in this last video where you saw some weight behind the boat. But this is a little bit more extensive in what actually occurs. The broker of the boat, the blue shirt, kind of sitting there hoping that the boat's not going to have problems with its engine. Okay, so that last video gives somebody an idea that if they're selling a boat and we have an engine surveyor involved, what kind of things he's going to be looking at to see whether the engines are overheating, to see when they're stressed, do we have problems, do we have failure. I mean, these are things that you wouldn't do if you were buying a car. Can you imagine buying a car and redlining the car while somebody's, showing it to you? It doesn't happen. But in surveying, it does, because when you have a problem with your boat or yacht, and you're hundreds of miles away from the shore, or even 20 miles away from shore, there's nobody there to come pick you up. So this is all the things that we do for diligence to make sure that that vessel is going to be safe for normal operation. Stress testing the engines like that, certainly not normal by any means. And no boat owner really loves to have that done, but he understands that what he's selling to somebody needs to be safe. All right, so you saw the videos, you saw how we had still pictures and we had video incorporated from using the video camera. Let's talk a little bit about these products that I'm mentioning to you. The first one is called Animoto. And you can go ahead and see all the features of this product at that website called animoto.com/features. The interesting part about this product is you can start using it for free. When you get more involved and you want longer videos and higher definition images, yeah, you pay a little bit of money for it, but to get your feet wet, to learn about taking your normal pictures and maybe some video that you have and getting it out there on the website, you can start for free. The next product we've all heard of, it's called YouTube. And obviously it's an online web-based system that you can create your own channel. I have a channel out there called Allinson Associates, where all my video goes out to that area, and people can look at it to see what I'm doing. Now, Animoto is a great product for taking those still images and those videos and putting them together and having all that fading in and out and spinning and music. You select all that stuff. You send the images up there, and it does everything for you behind the scenes. They'll send you an email. I'm done. Go ahead and take a look at it. If you like it, continue on. If you don't like it, you can remix it. You can change the orientation of the images. You can put additional text in it, whatever you want. But again, it's relatively quick. You can start off for free. But then, I migrated over to YouTube. And why do I migrate it over to YouTube? Because Google does a wonderful job at collecting statistics on anything that's out there on the web. With moving it over to my Google